Okay, we are going to continue looking at ratios like we started the day before. These pages are also found in the handouts that were sent home with you. Again, if you don't have them at home, you're more than welcome to just use what's on the screen or find the copy on Google Classroom for you to look at. Again, if you don't have them, have a notebook out, some paper, so you can work through the problems and check your answers as we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. Again, this is make sure I'm on the right page, page 4, which is the third page in your packet. Chris mixes 4 cups of cereal, 3 cups of pecans, and 2 cups of raisins to make a snack mix. How can you use ratios to compare the quantities of each ingredient and the total amount of snack mix? A lot of information in there. Most of the time you're going to get this problem with just this box up here, and you're not going to have, so you're just going to have this, and you're not going to have the model drawn or the pictures. So let's take a few seconds to make sure we understand what this question is even saying or asking of us. So Chris mixes 4 cups of cereal. And if I was doing this problem, this is when I go to the side and I write what I know. I know I have 4 cups of cereal. I know that I have 3 cups of pecans or pecans, however you want to say it. And with my raisins, if I spell it correctly for you, I have 2 cups of raisins. I'm going to go ahead and put the total down, because remember we're talking about that part to part. We compare cereal to pecans. If we're talking about part to whole, we would compare to this total amount here. So to find the total, I just add them up. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. Okay, I have not even looked at the question that's actually being asked here. I'm just going through, what am I given? What do I know? So how can I use ratios to compare the quantities of each ingredient and the total amount of snack mix? So we're talking about each ingredient, that is going to be a part, and we're talking about the total amount, that is a whole. So these ratios that we're focused on here, all the ratios have to be part to whole. Well, that helps a little bit because we already know our whole. So all the ratios we make are going to have this number 9 in it. That's going to be our whole. So they're all going to end with either, depending on how you write it, the 9. Okay, so when we're talking about this, we can start by drawing a picture. So helps in this situation, they drew it for you, and let's be honest, my pictures would never look like that. But you can see they have their cereal, they have their pecans, and they have their raisins here to help. So I know in your black and white copy, it's a little harder to see, but it is labeled underneath. So we have our 4 cups of cereal, 3 things of pecans, 2 cups of raisins. That's the picture method. Obviously that helps visually see that. But then at the bottom, I think this is a little bit more realistic. You can use tape diagrams, and we're going to be using those with division of fractions again. That came up a little bit in the first time we talked about it. So we can represent each cup with a rectangle, okay, or a square. Then line up for the rectangles and each ingredient in a row. So if you see cereal and pecans, everything is lined up. So 1 cup and so on. Everything is lined up nice and neat. Okay, so we also have that total here. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they would know, how can we compare each of them part to whole? Well, cereal, we know there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So my ratio part to whole is going to be 4 to 9. You could also write it this way. And fractions are also okay. For the pecans, I have 1, 2, 3, 3 to 9. Remember, we're focusing on that part to whole, part of it to the whole. And finally, raisins are just 2. So we're comparing 2 to 9, 2 to 2 over 9. Okay, we could also write this out in words. We could say for every 2 raisins, there is a total of 9 ingredients in the recipe. For every 3 pecans, there are 9 total ingredients. For every 4 cups of cereal, there's 9 cups of ingredients. Okay, we can also do more spread out in word form. So hopefully you have this copy down on your own paper. Even though there's not blanks to fill in, it's always beneficial to make sure you're writing down all the notes on the screen that can help you later. There were 4 cups of cereal, 3 cups of pecans. A whole bunch of work to start this problem, but really all this did on this first page. So we're going to take that information. So if you flip over to the second page, this is what I want you to focus on as we work through here. Some of these questions I am going to ask you to pause, try them, and then come back and check. So looking at question number 2. Okay, so the connect it. Now you will solve the problem from the previous page using ratios to compare the quantities. So number 2, what are 3 ways to write the ratio of cups of cereal to cups of pecans? Well, now we're comparing cereal to pecans. So already you should be thinking that's a part to part. Okay, so we're going part to part. So cereal to pecans, if we go on. Okay, so 3 ways to write that. You can write it with the word to, T-O. You can write that with the colon that still says 4 to 3. And finally, your fraction. I really don't want you writing this way for a fraction piece. That looks like 413. I'm not sure. So please shy away from using that slash. Okay. Does the ratio of cereal to pecans compare part to whole, or whole to part? Well, we know it cannot include a whole because our whole here is not listed anywhere. It was 9. So this has to be, we already answered it, part to part. So yeah, it seems to help us solve the second page. This is kind of looking at the problem and bringing it all together. What is the total amount of snacks mix? It is 9 cups. We had our total. Write ratios to compare the amount of each ingredient to the total amount. So we can start with, this is kind of hard to fit on this line. I'm going to say for number 5, you could even write it down here because they kind of go to different, the questions are kind of similar. So for space, I'm going to write down here. So they're all asking for total. So the cereal, we had 4 cups to 9 total cups. For the pecans, we remember back, there were 3 cups to my 9. And finally, for my raisins, there were 2 cups to my 9. Remember, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. Okay, so if you want to skip number 6 right here, and I'm actually going to cross that one out because we kind of already solved that one. So number 5 can go on the blank here. Okay, so make sure you have those. If you need to pause and catch up before we move on to these bottom 2 questions, please do that now. And 7 and 8 are your try it questions. These are the questions I want you to try. I'm not just going to give you the answers right away. So make sure you pause and try these. Leo blew up 7 balloons. Kathy blew up 5 balloons. Write each ratio in at least 2 different ways. So we're talking about the 2 different ways as being your TO, your colon, or your fraction. Okay, so I always like to come to the side real quick and write what I know. Leo has 7 balloons, and Kathy has 5. And I know you think this is like an extra step. It might seem like that at first, but no, at the end, it's actually helping us solve them more effectively and efficiently. Okay, total, so we have 12 total balloons. 7 plus 5 is 12. So we have all their information here and ready to go. Okay, so we're going to do the ratio of Kathy's to Leo's. Remember, order matters. Kathy has 5, Leo has 7. Okay, and I'm looking back at my question. Write each ratio in at least 2 different ways. So I'm going to choose the colon. If you want to use the fraction bar, you can. I'll try to shove it in back here for you. Ratio of Leo's balloons to Kathy's. So Leo has 7, Kathy has 5. Almost wrote it wrong. Okay. Remember, order matters. How you write these and what order you write them in definitely matters. Okay, ratio of total to Leo. So my total is 12, Leo is 7. 12 to 7. 12 to 7. Okay, again, take a second, pause if you need to, check your work. We're going to move on to the last try it question. Each class has the goal of selling 100 tickets to the school carnival. So we're looking at 100 total. Miss Garcia's class sells 87 tickets. Mr. Carpenter's class sells 113. Write each ratio in at least 2 different ways. So we have some information here we really don't need. We can get rid of, we don't really care if they need 100 tickets. That doesn't help. Okay, we just need to know these two. I probably shouldn't apologize. There we go, a little easier to see there. So Miss Garcia, so I'm going to come down here and just quickly write down what I know. Garcia's class sold 87, and Mr. Carpenter's class was at 113. Write each ratio in at least 2 different ways. Ratio of Miss Garcia's sale to the goal. Well, I was wrong in that case. We do need to know that 100. Okay, so the goal is 100. So Miss Garcia's is 87 to 100. Order matters. Okay, so make sure in this case that it's not 100 to 87 because it's not asking for the goal to Garcia's, it's asking for the other way. Okay, Miss Garcia's first, 87 has to be first. The goal is second, the goal has to be second in your ratio. The ratio of Mr. Carpenter's sale, which is 113, to the goal. 113 to 100. Once again, order matters. Ratio of Mr. Carpenter's sales to Miss Garcia's. So Carpenter first, Garcia second. Okay, let me go back through. Even after I read the problem wrong and fixed it, each class has the goal of selling 100 tickets. Miss Garcia's class sells 87. Carpenter sells 113. Write each ratio in at least 2 different ways. I need to fix my problem. So 2 different ways. Let me fit that 0 in here maybe. Okay, 0 should go there. Right, remember fractions are okay as well. The spacing here is hard to write the fractional piece, but you could also add that in. Try to fit it in my messy handwriting, sorry. Okay, so double check all your work. There's a Google form for you to fill out, and you have practice and problem solving pages that'll be listed on the daily work.